Sometimes you may need to interrupt the normal flow of a loop to either jump out of it completely or stop the current iteration and move on to the next one. In the next two videos, we're going to look at the continue and break statements that we can use with loops. We need some examples to show how these statements can be useful, so I'm going to start by introducing lists. We will be looking at lists in more detail in the next section of this course, so this is a very quick introduction to what a list is. So a list in Python is an ordered sequence of values enclosed in square brackets. For example, we might have a shopping list. So what I'm going to do is create a new Python file here called shopping.py. And let's start by defining a list. So we're going to type shopping underscore list is equal to, in square braces as I mentioned, or brackets as the case as you may call them. And I'm going to enter some items that we might buy when we go out shopping. And I'm going to put, because they're strings, I'm going to put them in double quotes. So milk is the first one, separating each item by comma, pasta, comma, and obviously as you can see double quotes around all of them, comma, because they're strings, spam, comma, bread, comma, and the last one, rice, and then that hasn't got a comma because it's the last one, and then we've got our square brackets as well. So that defines a list containing 6 items. Now you saw that those items were strings, but we could use numbers instead. In fact, you can store any type of object in a list in Python, but we'll stick with strings at the moment. So make sure you do use square brackets when creating the list as I've done. So we've bound the variable shopping underscore list to our list, and we can now use that in a for loop to print out all the items. So let's add some code for that. For item in shopping underscore list, colon, and line 4, print parentheses, double quotes by space plus item. And if we run this now, and we now get a reminder to buy each item in the list. So that's simple enough. It's a basic for loop that iterates over the list and prints out a message containing each item. But what if we don't like spam? Well, we've seen one way to deal with that. We could check for the current item not being spam before printing the reminder. So let's try some code there. So I'm going to add it above the print. If item is not equal to spam in double quotes, colon, and then we need to indent the print. So we're only printing if the item isn't spam. And looking at the list down the bottom, it currently does have spam. If we run the program, you can see that spam has now been excluded from the output. So that's one way to exclude spam from the output. But there's another way in loops, and that's to use continue. So let's see how that works. What I'm going to do is comment out this loop for now, so you've still got the code if you're downloading it. And let's try another approach. Line 7, I'm going to type for item in shopping underscore list, colon. If item is equal to, so 2 equal signs, spam in double quotes, colon, continue. Otherwise, I'm going to go down to line 11 there, print, parentheses rather, double quotes by, space in those double quotes plus item. Then we've got our right parentheses. Now remember to be very careful with your indenting here, as always. The call to print is indented to be at the same level as if. So it's not part of the block controlled by if. So when I run this, looking at the output we had last time down the bottom of the screen, running it now, you can see we've got the identical output. So spam is still not included. Basically all the items except spam have been printed. Alright, so let's have a closer look now at what's happening here. So we're going to set a breakpoint on line 8 here. That's the if, checking to see whether the item is spam. And let's run the program now in the debugger. And we're going to click straight over to the console tab. If you're using IntelliJ or PyCharm, then obviously I'm using IntelliJ, as you can see, because we can see the values of our variables printed in the edit window at the top. Alright, so we've entered the for loop, and you can see the item is currently milk. That doesn't equal spam, so therefore line 9 won't be executed. So we step over, and you can see we step straight over to line 11. So if I step over again now, you can see buy milk has been printed out to the console, and we're back now again at line 7. So we step over again, and this time you can see the item has changed to pasta. Now that also doesn't equal spam, so I'm going to step over twice more to get back to line 7. And you can see by pasta has appeared in the output pane as well. The next item will be eggs. So I'm going to step over 3 more times. 1, you can see items now eggs, and 2 more times. And by eggs has appeared in the console window, and we're back up to line 7 again. So next we're going to get to spam. So I'm going to step over it and we should get to line 8. And you can see item is spam. This time the condition will be true and line 9 will execute. Let's step over to check that. Alright, so we're now ready to execute the continue statement on line 9. Continue causes all the remaining code in the block to be skipped. So execution will jump straight back to the for statement. So let's step over and confirm that. And you can see what happened there. We jump right back to line 7. So that's what continue does. When it appears in a loop, it causes everything else in the loop to be ignored. We've avoided doing any processing when the item is spam. So we step over again. And you can see item is now bread. So I'll continue stepping through now to let the program finish. And you can see the program has now completed. Alright, so that's what continue does. You probably won't use it very often. It's there if you need it, and you now know what it does if you come across it in code that you have to work with. I'll finish this video by comparing our 2 bits of code. The code that's currently commented out on lines 3 through 5 produces exactly the same result as the continue code on lines 7 through 11. If you've decided that you never have to use continue, then you're correct. In fact, a lot of languages don't have the equivalent of a continue keyword. Where it can be useful though is in making code easier to read. So check out the responses to this Stack Overflow question that I'm about to put on the screen. Link as always is in the resources section of the video. And someone's asking the question there, as you can see, some example uses of continue. And there's some good examples there you can read through of using continue. Basically some other opinions from people there about continue. Certainly a useful read. Right, so coming up next, we're going to start talking about the break statement. See you in the next video.